And we are live. Good morning, everybody. It is, what is it, April 29th? Wow, it feels like Groundhog's Day. We just keep doing this over and over again. It would be nice if we were like back at school, but here we are. We're going to make the best of this, and then next year we'll be back and having fun together, okay? So, again, keep working. Get caught up, you guys. At the end, most of you are doing really well, and most of you are going to get a good credit and good grades. But if not, remember, there are going to be things called incompletes. An incomplete grade means you won't get credit for algebra, which will really suck. Or you've got to get caught up. You're going to have to be on a contract and get that work caught up. Or you got to take the whole class all over again if you're that far behind. So let's just keep working. Get it done. I'm making it easy because I give you the answers every day anyway. And I'm even putting answers or almost answers on the tests up anyway. So it can't be hard. You just have to spend like maybe, 20 minutes a day on my work. That's it. Mine's easy, okay? Okay, so let's take a look at last night's homework. Again, this geometry section should be super easy. Why are we doing geometry? Because it's an integrated approach, and the reason we do it this way is because it's the way the state test is. So here we go. Number one, they are congruent because they have the same length. Number two, they're not congruent. This is longer than that one, so no, they're not congruent. Number three, yes, they're congruent. You can see same length. 4, that size 23, 5, that size 12, 6, the whole thing 75, and finally 7, it's 3.5 kilometers. Pretty easy. You just have to do the work and show me, okay? Now, what are we going to do today? Well, we're going to talk about midpoint and distance, okay? Today it gets a little bit more challenging, but I have the faith that you can do it. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to page 227 in my journal, okay? 227 in my journal, okay? Right, here we go. Let's look at this picture, okay? Here's a line segment. The thing about a line segment is it's going to have a certain length, okay? So to find the length, one way to do it is by Pythagoras Theorem. We also want to find the midpoint, okay? So let's take a look at the midpoint as well. So the midpoint of a line is the middle, right? It's just the middle, except for it's a point. Well, I think the easiest way to do it is to make this into a triangle, a right triangle. And then if I were to take a journey from B to A, and it's like a city block and you can't go through the individual little blocks in the cities because there's houses and buildings, you'd have to walk. So let's take a journey. Let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, there you go. So the journey from here to here is 8 and 6. Now if we want the midpoint, it would be half of that, right? Middle would be half of that. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, half of 8, 1, 2, 3, half of 6, and there's my middle of my line. Now that's a point, that's a midpoint, and the coordinate of that midpoint would be at -1, 1. Okay, there you go, that's the midpoint. Awesome. Now the length's a little bit longer. So the length's a little bit more work, but if I want to know how long this is, and I can't count the squares because those aren't individual squares, not like these, I can use Pythagoras Theorem. Okay, we talked about that a little bit yesterday, okay? So I'm going to go a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Remember? I'm going to go my a squared plus my b squared equals c squared. That's my Pythagoras Theorem, and c is always the hypotenuse. Always, always, always. A and b can be either one, okay? But c is always the hypotenuse. So let's set this up. I'm going to go a squared, or 8 squared, plus b squared, which is 6 squared, equals c squared, which we don't know. That's what we're looking for, okay? Let's do some math. 8 squared is not 16, it is 64. 6 squared is not 12, but 36 equals c squared. 8 times 8, 6 times 6. I add these two together. 36 plus 64 is 100. And again, yesterday we talked about how do you undo that. You take the square root of it. Square root of 100 is 10. So now we know the length of this side is 10. Okay, not too bad. Now, what if this darn thing happens to be not graphing, but you have to do it just by getting it. Okay, so first of all, on number 4, if these are too big to graph, it's like way big, and then if I wanted the distance, again, this is humongous, there might be a formula. So let's turn the page and look at our formulas. Okay, it's the midpoint formula. Here we go. Let's take a look at this right here. Here's my midpoint formula. Now, looks kind of complicated, doesn't it? x1, x2, y1, y2, divided by 2. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, you're going to pick a point. And your point, you're going to have your first point, and you're going to have a second point. So let's go back up to what our example was. We had, our first point was -5, -2. And our second point was 3, 4. Okay. So I have 2 points. Got my first point and my second point. Okay. Or vice versa. Okay. So what we're going to do is, since I have a first point, now listen carefully. I have 2 points. I have point 1, my first point, point 1, and I have my second point, point 2. Okay. Every single point has some x and y value, right? So if this is my first point, this is x1, y1, because it's my first point. This is my second point, so we call it x2, y2. First x, first y, second x, second y, first point, second point. This is not y squared. This is not x squared. It's just second value. Okay. So we're going to use the formula. I already know the answer. Yes, the answer is going to be -1, 1. But let's do it by using the formula, because sometimes you can't graph it. So the formula says midpoint is parentheses x1. Let's see. X1 is -5 plus x2, which is plus 3, divided by 2, comma, y1 -2 plus y2 plus 4 divided by 2. Okay, now we can simplify that because we can do some math. Okay, so let's do some math. Okay, so that's going to be a -2 over 2, -5 plus 3, and a positive 2 over 2. -2 over 2 is a -1. 2 over 2 is a 1. So I got the exact same answer by using the formula as I did by graphing. Okay, now, sometimes graphing is easier if you have easy points, and sometimes doing it by the formula is easier if you can't graph. Okay, now, we do the same thing with distance. Okay, so distance formula. Okay, well, let's see. Here's my formula. AB, length. Don't get it confused. Length and distance are the same thing. I know some kids get confused by this. Don't get confused. Sometimes the problem might say find the length of this, and I've had kids go, Mr. Davies, I don't know how to do that. What do you mean length? Distance. Oh, you mean length and distance, same thing? Yes. Okay, so you see whether you see the word distance or length. What's the length of this line, which would be the distance from A to B. Okay, so here's my formula. Looks kind of hard, but it is Pythagoras Theorem. Big square root x2 minus x1 quantity squared plus y2 minus y1 quantity squared. Okay, now let's take the problem we just had. Okay, here's our A and our B. Okay, so again, same thing. Let's take a look what we have. Now this time we want the distance. Okay, so slide it up so you can see it. Okay, so let's take the length here, AB. This is going to equal big square root. Okay, now just use my formula. Big square root. Parentheses. X2. Well, let's see. X2 was 3, wasn't it? Minus X1. X1 was a -5, so double negative. See the double negative? Squared. Okay, here we go. I'm not done, but I'll do it again. Big square root because the formula. Parentheses. X2 minus a negative 5 squared. Now, plus parentheses, which is using our formula, y2, and y2 in our formula is going to be 4 minus y1. y1 in our formula is a negative 2, double negative, in this case, y squared. Okay, so now I've got the numbers in the formula. Let's see if we can simplify this. Okay, double negative, just going to make that plus plus, double negative, make that plus plus, right? Just may as well, right off the bat. Double negative, make it a plus plus. So I've got an AB, the length or the distance, big square root of 8 squared plus 6 squared. AB is equal to 8 squared is 64, not 16, plus 36, not 12, because I'm squaring them. AB is equal to the square root. I can add those. I get 100. Square root of 100 is 10. Okay, now, they're not always going to be nice numbers. Sometimes they're going to be a calculated answer, okay? So, let's take a look at doing this with a couple of problems that don't work out so nicely, okay? So, let's take a look at, I believe I have it right here, okay? So let's do this again. So first of all, let's take a look at the point 2, 1, and the point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 4, okay? Alright, so if I wanted to find the distance between these two, and I'm running out of room, aren't I? So let's just do it on the back of this page, okay? So, find the distance. I've got A is 2, 1, B is 7, 4, and I will run through the formula with you, okay? So if I want to find the length, I'm going to use my formula, my distance formula. Point 1, point 2, x1, y1. First point. Second point, x2, y2. That's my second point, okay? Set it up. Here's my formula, okay? AB, or the length of AB. Okay, that is this length right here, which we don't know because you can't measure it, okay? Is equal to, you have to know this for higher math. If you're going to go on and take more math classes, the hard stuff, you have to know this. Big parentheses, x2, 7, minus x1, 2, quantity squared, that's the formula, okay? Plus, parentheses, y2, that's my 4. Subtract y1, which is my 1, quantity squared, okay? Let's simplify, okay? Let's find the length of this. So AB is equal to the square root, big square root, right? 5 squared plus 3 squared, 7 minus 2, 4 minus 1. AB, the length, is equal to 5 squared is not 10, it's 25, plus 3 squared is not 6, it's 9. AB equals, let's see, 25 plus 9 is a 34. And at this point, I'm going to use a calculator, okay, and round to the nearest tenth. Nearest tenth is always good for me. So I use my calculator. Square root, I got to turn it on first, sorry about that. Haha. Square root of 34, and I get an answer of 5.8. 5.83, or how about just 5.8? That's the length. Approximately, we're going to say approximately equal to, because it's been rounded. Okay, now bisectors and midpoints. Okay, let's go back to what the book wants. Okay, so then this is pretty easy. So if M is the midpoint, then it makes these two equal. That's easy. Okay, now the bisector. Okay, let's take a look. The bisector is the thing that cuts it in half. So DC, see how it chops it, crushes it right in half, boom, is the bisector. It's like the sword, it just cut in half. And then M is the midpoint, right? And so therefore this side is equal to this side, okay? Homework today, you guys, is going to have a variety of these. Okay, let's take a look at homework today. Pretty easy. I think you can figure out what that is. But they also want you to identify the bisector. So in this case, M would be the bisector, MC is the bisector, L is the bisector. Okay. 4, if it is equal, set 6x equal to 2x plus 4 and solve. Same thing with 5. Set these two equal and solve for x. Okay, identify the bisector. Set this equal to this and solve. Okay, now endpoints. Okay, so here you want to find the midpoint. 2 ways to do the midpoint. You could graph it if you want to take out the graph paper. Take the time. Say, okay, well, I mean, for me it's kind of a pain. I'd rather use the formula. Okay, so -4, 3, and 0, 5. Okay, I gotta find the midpoint. There it is. Or you could use my formula, which would be the, you remember? This is my point 1, point 2. So I'd have x1 -4 plus 0 over 2 comma 3 plus 5 over 2. Okay, using my formula. Okay, now 10's a little bit trickier. You're going to find the other point. So example, I'll give you a picture. 7, 2 might be here for J. 1, -2 is M. That's midpoint. So then the other point we're looking for has to be way down here somewhere, and you have to find that point. Okay, so there's your homework for today. I want you to do page 230. And I'd like you to do 1 through 12 all. Okay. And it doesn't have anything on the distance, which really kind of surprises me, but that's okay. We'll keep talking about finding length. Okay, there it is. And I gotta find my little thing to turn the video off. Oh, now, where did that go? Hold on, everybody. I gotta turn this video off. Where's my little thing? Here it is.